This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
Our study gives us kind of the foundation that says this is where things are going. And sure enough, we see, based on the news, this is where things are going. This is where we're ending up. But it begins with the study and an introduction of this conflict between Jacob and Esau. And over the next several weeks, we're going to be taking a look at Jacob in particular. But part of Jacob's life, after a few weeks we'll really get into it, is the conflict between Jacob and Esau. Because Jacob thought Esau was going to try to kill him. And certainly that has been the case ever since. But there was this something about Jacob that established a pattern. And I want you to see something about God. First of all, that God is the God of second place. And we see this pattern established in Genesis. There's an interesting pattern that develops from the very beginning. And that is that first place isn't always the winner. Now that's tough in America. It's certainly tough for Americans because we're so competitive. You know, we believe that you got to be the best in anything. Anything that you do, you got to be the best at. If you're going to be a runner, you're not much of a runner if you can't win first place. If you're going to be an artist, you got to win first place. If you're going to be an author, you got to win first place. If you're going to be an investor, you've got to win. Everything is about winning, 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 winning. We're so in tune with winning. That's kind of our mindset. We've got to be number one at everything. We're very competitive. Even my lovely, sweet, dear wife. You all think that she's this quiet, shy, modest, demure woman. Put a deck of cards in her hand. Holy mackerel! Ever played Nerds?
Yes.
Nerds is where you throw cards and stuff at each other, and you know, it's stuff on the, I don't know what you do, but you're supposed to be really fast at it. I have literally gotten slapped trying to play Nerds. Not in the face, but on the hand. You know, trying to, it's deadly. The woman is so competitive when it comes to, we're all like that. See what I mean? Did you ever think that you would hear Marcia say, "You're a cheater"? This quiet, shy, demure woman? Now, we're all like that. We have this attitude in America, certainly, that we've got to win, we've got to be number one, we've got to go for it. But the Bible doesn't teach that. Now, that principle still existed in culture. There was this thing called the law of primogeniture, and the idea was that the firstborn received the prime inheritance. Whoever was first got it all. And there was that competitive nature, and there was that law. In fact, it even existed to this day. I mean, we see it in the royal setup over in England, and how that the firstborn becomes the king. The firstborn becomes the boss, essentially, as it were, or the prince. So, the idea behind all of this is that a person who is number one wins. But the Bible doesn't teach that. The Bible doesn't teach that principle. If anything, it has nothing to do with what God intends to do. The firstborn receives the prime inheritance, but that doesn't have any weight with God. And apparently being first or being the best at anything doesn't really matter to God. It does to us, it doesn't to God. God doesn't seem to be too concerned about your position in life, but He is concerned about your availability and your willingness and your usability with God. That's very important to God. Not your position, but your availability and willingness to be used by God. And we see this principle from the very beginning. It's in Genesis chapter 4, verses 1 through 4, with Cain and Abel. Adam lay with his wife Eve. She became pregnant, gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I brought forth a man." Later she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, but Cain worked the soil. So Abel was a rancher, and Cain was a farmer. In the course of time, Cain brought some fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, but Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering. Now, God had not established a law for the offering. That didn't come until later, much, much later. But there was a significant difference between Cain's offering and Abel's offering. Cain just brought some of the first fruits, some of the fruits of his labor. He brought some bananas and oranges and whatever, kumquats. But it didn't really cost him anything. He picked the fruit off the tree. That was it. That's what he brought. On the other hand, Abel gave up some of the firstborn of his flock. Cain just picks some fruit and brings it. Abel takes some of the firstborn of his flock and sacrifices them and brings them to the Lord. It cost him something. And God is pleased with that commitment on Abel's part. And his pleasure, God's pleasure, had nothing to do with Abel's position in life. It had to do with Abel's desire to please God, with what Abel wanted to accomplish. So, we see that established right away. It's not about who you are, it's about your willingness to be obedient and used by God.
Looking for a Bible study that's focused on the practical application of the Bible? Check out our website at theopenclass.com.
Glory to God, forever. Glory to God, glory to God, glory to God.